This is Shakespeare sonnet number 3. Okay, so if we look at cue number 1, our speaker tells the addressee to look in the mirror and look at the face, look at your own face, and you will tell that face that it's time to form another, to have a child, whose fresh repair, if now thou not renewest, thou dost beguile the world, you deceive the world, and unbless some mother. Okay, so now we obviously have a form of flattery here. The speaker is telling the addressee, look, you are so handsome that now it's time for you to look at yourself and to say, look here, self. Now it's the time to have a child. So your beauty will will be replicated. Because if you don't do that, you're going to deceive the world and you're going to unbless some mother. So you're going to not give an opportunity for a mother out there to have your child. So now we go to Q2. Now in Q2, Shakespeare brings back husbandry. Okay, so he brings back husbandry. He says, "For where is she so fair whose uneared womb disdains the tillage of thy husbandry?" So there's no woman out there who wouldn't want to have your child. And here, the husbandry and the tillage has to do with cultivation. So there's no woman out there who wouldn't want to have your child. Shakespeare uses the idea of husbandry or the extended metaphor of husbandry and the cultivation of crops, which he mentions in Sonnet 1. Because if you remember in Sonnet 1, he talks about fairest creatures we desire increase. He speaks about famine and abundance. He mentions only herald to the gaudy spring, within thine own bud, various thy content. So we have this notion of, he brings back this metaphor dealing with husbandry. So basically, he's saying, look, you're so attractive that you are going to deceive the world if you don't have a child, and you're going to deny a woman the opportunity to have your child. In stanza two, he then brings in this the notion of husbandry, which he already brought in, which he developed in Sonnet 1. And he says, "Or who is he so fond would be the tomb of his self love to stop posterity?" Okay, so you basically have two options here. So you either are going to have a child, or you will be that person who is only in love with himself, and you're going to stop posterity. You're going to stop the future replication of yourself through a child, right? So you have an option here, but you don't want to go with self love. So now in Q3, he says, "Thou art thy mother's glass." So now he brings it back to his mother, and he says that when your mother looks at you, you are the mirror for her. Okay, you are her mirror, and she indeed calls back the lovely April of her prime. So she remembers back when she was young, and you are currently young. So when she looks at you, she sees herself. So thou, through windows of thine age, shall see, despite of wrinkles, this thy golden time. So in the future, when you look back upon the windows of age, and you look back, you will, even though will have wrinkles at that time, like in Sonnet 2 when he mentions 40 winters shall besiege thy brow, you'll look back and you'll remember this golden time of your life when you look back in the future, when you see your child or your son. But cautionary, if thou if thou live remembered not to be, so if you do not have a child, you'll die single, and your image dies with thee. So if you want to be remembered, then it's imperative that you have a child, because you don't want to die single, because that would be self love and you're beguiling the world, and it's your duty to have a child.